My dear friends, the social compact between the government and the citizens of South Africa is completely dead. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Morning Shot. Joining me is Byron from, I don't know, some godforsaken town in South Africa. Hello, Byron.
Hello, Ramon, and I suppose we should probably start off this video by saying that as of right now, at the time we're recording, load shedding is at stage 6. It was due to go to stage 5, but as they downgraded at stage 5, another unit tripped and it is now back to stage 6, with threats that it may go up to stage 7 or possibly stage 8.
So, the solution, I think, to all of this is to continue paying taxes and voting for the ANC in the next election. Right, Byron? Because that has solved all the issues in the past.
Yeah, so the biggest problem that we're now seeing is that Eskom has two main issues. The first is it has what is historically referred to as a debt issue. The second is it has a grid infrastructure issue. In current news, the underdirector and his team are suggesting a 32% rate increase in order to be able to pay off the debt. And the other problem that they're having, actually, they don't really have a good solution for, which is the aging infrastructure. I know an hour ago, Andre Director announced that he would have his first private deal to procure 1,000 megawatts from a private provider. But this kind of reminds me of a pledge the president made many, many moons ago that still hasn't been fulfilled. So why it's suddenly getting fast-tracked now, I think we all know. But will it actually happen? Remains to be seen.
Right, and it's only an extra 1,000 megawatts. Like, it's not a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's like half the grid's offline. 1,000 megawatts is like what, a few percentage points more than otherwise.
So they're saying that the amount that the grid is offline is about 6,000 megawatts. So it would be 1/6 of what's missing.
Right. Too little, too late. So Andre Trator also has another option, though he decided against it, which was perhaps to have a permanent stage 2 type load shedding scenario. But Eskom decided against it in lieu of stage 6 every now and again, I suppose. I mean, I think if you want to save Eskom, having a permanent stage 2 load shedding thing, which enables them to fix whatever they need to fix, sounds like a far better option than having zero load shedding and then stage 6 over the course of a Sunday.
Yeah, so Andre Director is saying that basically the solutions are having load shedding whenever the grid gets to a critical point of failure, or to actually reduce the demand on the grid on a permanent basis by permanently having a degree of stage 2. So what he's basically said is he said that Eskom has a number of its units that are offline and it is defaulting onto the diesel generators to provide that electricity. Problem is, they've now used, it's September at the time of recording, but they've used in September the entire year's worth of diesel, which is meant to be used as the backups. So he actually has no diesel to power the generators. So if you're wondering why we're at stage 6, well, that's actually why. The reason is because we doesn't have enough diesel in order to be able to provide power through the backups. And the main systems that should be running this, the coal power stations, are offline or broken. And then there's obviously the ongoing issue with Coburg, however you pronounce it, in Cape Town. And obviously there's units there that are offline because of a Chinese part that got dropped. We covered this in another story. But the reality of the situation is there's no real kind of quick fix. And I don't know, man. I don't know what exactly they're going to do. They're saying they're going to get private people to plug into the grid, but the infrastructure is highly problematic, and there's no quick way to fix it.
Well, as you said, there's two issues: debt and infrastructure. Right? Debt, they owe R500 billion. They have no hope of paying it back, and even if they do pay it back, the maintenance is still not being done. So they can't solve the one without solving the other. They have to solve both at the same time. We well know that Donator, bless his heart, he's about to be trying his best, but it's just not working. I don't know how long he will last in that position. And number two, Cyril is more than happy to go see Joe Biden rather than actually deal with this. He has come back. He's cut his trip short. And the big news from Cyril is that at the time of watching, they're going to have a cabinet meeting to decide how to fix this. My
Yeah.
friends, with utmost respect to our leaders, there isn't anything to do. There's nothing they can do. Nothing.
No.
Nothing they can do. If you keep paying your taxes and you keep voting, nothing's going to be fixed,
No.
right? Nothing changes until the citizens want something else, or the citizens themselves want change. Purportedly, as a democracy, I doubt that is the case. But we are well and truly fucked, like royally. And we've been saying this for many, many years, many, many months, and people keep mocking us for it. But yes, here we are, my friends, at the coalface. Well, lack of coalface, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you going to do about it? Nothing. You can't do anything. The government can't do anything. Eskom can't do anything. The citizens can't do anything for now because there's no elections coming up. And there we go. Like, welcome to South Africa in 2022, where there's 8 hours of blackouts across the country.
So the issue here is we have to divide Eskom into various sectors. Okay, so the first is they have what we commonly refer to as the generation units, which are the power stations that create the power. And then they have what they commonly refer to as the network, which is basically the power lines that plug everything into the power stations that are producing stuff. So Eskom says that its network, in other words, the power lines that transfer the power to people, is actually pretty good. And that part of the system hasn't failed yet. Obviously, we know that there's cable theft and we know that there's various things that go on there. But on the whole, that part of the system or the network actually works very well. It's the power generation aspects of Eskom that are completely screwed. In other words, the power stations, whether they be nuclear or solar or whatever, doesn't really matter. So the current solution put forward by the Free Market Foundation is that you scrap the generation element of Eskom because that's the element that's broken. It doesn't work. Eskom can keep the network and then basically plug the network into the private producers. So they would still effectively control Eskom, if you will, from a state point, but the actual producers would be independent. That's the only solution. But even then, the problem becomes that when they do that, it's not an instant thing. You still need to build power lines into the independent power producers. And there's no huge, big power producers that can produce the type of electricity that we need. This is obviously why even Gwena Matasha's crazy idea is to have a power ship off the coast of Africa, and we just basically plug the network into that ship, which government will pay for. And this kind of comes through to the crux of the issue. The problem is of governments making, and there are solutions there. We've just discussed what a potential solution is. But in order to do that, the government would have to relinquish some kind of control. Now, yes, you've very rightly said it doesn't look like we live in a democracy, and to a degree, it doesn't look like we do. And the reason for that is because the government isn't acting in the best interest of the citizens of the state. There is a perceived social compact. And the social compact is we pay taxes to the government and the government provides us a service. Right? That's the only reason technically we have a government is that the government provides services on a whole. In other words, the idea of large mass, you can get better services on large mass because you have the rule of large numbers, and that's really what government's meant to be providing us. But that isn't actually what government is providing us. What government are doing is providing us with no services, but still taking the cash.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, the social compact should start being viewed by every citizen of the state with at least their right mind as basically fundamentally broken. The social compact no longer exists. Government is not providing critical infrastructure to us. It's not providing us with services on the basis of the rules of large numbers. It's not providing us with anything, but it's still charging us and it's still taxing us.
Yeah. So we
In
live in
which
a
case,
society. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Byron.
of course, go.
Sorry, we live in a society where it's more difficult for the government to change its mind about something rather than actually do its job. Like this is
Correct.
this is the society we live in. A government changing its mind is much more difficult to achieve rather than just doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? And once that happens, and it has been happening for many, many years, you must take a look at your own life. You must take a look at your own thoughts and beliefs and things like that. You must decide for yourself, why the hell are you allowing this to happen? Because this is pure ideology, right? America didn't bomb us. There's no Hiroshima. There's no earthquake that caused this. There's no force majeure like in Puerto Rico right
Force
now.
majeure.
This is a political problem created by politicians, and you want these same fuckers to solve it. It's like making pedophile the head of a nursery school. Like it's not going to work. That might be demonetized. I'll edit that. But you know what I mean. Like it's like making an alcoholic the manager of a bottle store. I mean, think for a second. How can you trust anyone to fix anything, especially if they are the ones who broke it in the first place? The social compact's not just broken; it's a fraud, a huge
Social
fraud,
compact is a
the
fraud.
greatest fraud perpetuated on these South African people for a very long time.
I would 100% agree with that. And, the fundamental issue that we are now seeing is we're seeing this even in the police sectors. Now, a lot of people may sit there going, okay, well, it's Eskom. And yeah, okay, we ourselves have created the alternatives, which is now the only way to do it is you have to get yourself off grid and you have to become independent. But we've already done that even in terms of security. Look at the police. No one relies on the police anymore. You now have private security. No one relies on the government hospitals. You have your medical aid. And these are all elements that the government kind of has deep hatred for. And I suppose before we even talk about that a little bit further, we should probably hear a little bit from our sponsor today, which is in DB Firearms.
Now, you just have to answer one question. Do you like guns? Do you like a bit of recoil therapy? If so, why not go to EDB Firearms in the Hartbeespoort area? They have a 1,000-meter long shooting range, one of the longest ranges in this country, as well as having indoor ranges, of course. But not only do they have fantastic ranges, they can help you with every single aspect of owning a firearm, from getting your competency to obtaining a license to buying the gun itself, and of course every single accessory you need to make sure that you are well and fully armed in South Africa. And even if your license is pending, you can still use, test and shoot your gun at their premises while you're waiting for your license to arrive. They host regular family-friendly shooting events. They are open 7 days a week. And if you're a Morning Shop subscriber, you get 5% off absolutely everything in store, from range fees to weapons to anything. All you have to do is visit, call or email them and say Morning Shot for that 5% to apply. So don't wait, pull the trigger and check them out today, linked below.
As we've just discussed, it's like the social compact is screwed all around. And the fundamental issue is that everybody's now finding alternative solutions. We found it in policing, we found it in the medical environment, and we found it now in electricity generation. In which case, you have to ask the question, what's the government doing? What is the purpose of the government? The social compact is finished. It is completely dead. The government is illegitimate, and that's the only way to view it.
Yeah, very much so. Completely legitimate, completely evil, because also concerning safety, Cyril Ramaphosa said he won't devolve policing to the provinces because it's probably unconstitutional. So he's quite happy to have people killed on a daily basis and women raped on a daily basis in the Western Cape, rather than solve the issue at all. Once again, the biggest problem with South Africa is that politicians don't want to change their minds. And you know what? There's nothing we can do. This is how great democracy is. We can't change the mind of a politician. And what kind of screwed up system is that? And because they don't want to change their minds, stage 6, violence against women, K-flat gangsters, taxi violence, construction mafia, all of this is because the government refuses to change its mind on things. And that is a problem that cannot be solved democratically, I'm afraid.
And you might look at this and go, whoa, what's Eskom got to do with private security? And what's it got to do with all the stuff that you're now talking about? Are you guys going off on a tangent? Well, no, we're not. Because you have to remind yourself of something. When the power goes off, most of the SAP stations can't get incoming calls because the security board goes offline. If you've got stage 6 or stage 7, that means up to, 12, 16 hours a day that police station cannot take incoming calls. That means if you need SAPs, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get them. So the only way for you to still continue to have that service is for you to have something private, right? Or to look after yourself, to have your own firearm or your own ability to self-govern. And this fundamentally is the issue. If the power continues to go off, the cell phone towers go off because there's not enough time for them to charge their batteries. Well, how are you going to call paramedics, or how are you going to call the local security company, right? The fundamental social compact remains broken, even to those of us who are off grid and even to those of us who look after ourselves. The fundamental social compact is broken. Why do we still consider the government to be legitimate, and why are we still contributing to a government that looks at its taxpayers with nothing but contempt?
You can just say muted. I'll edit it. Anyway, this is fuck. This is gonna take me forever to edit. This is gonna take me forever to edit. Anyway,
I did
but yeah,
ask you if you want to use this on the Steam Deck, and you were like, no.
no, it's better this way. But yes, my friends, you are essentially slaves to the system. The ANC sees you as their, well, the trough to feed at, which is your hard-earned money. If you still do earn some in this economy with the load shedding, and not many people do. So, what is the conclusion to this video, Byron? Are you asking for a violent insurrection, or what? Or executions?
Morning Shot does not condone violent insurrections
We
or
don't.
tax revolts or anything to do with violence that we could be held up in the court of law for. Morning Shot does not condone any form of hate speech. However, if you do it, give us a call. We'd like to film.
Yeah, we will film your court case for free. And make a nice documentary as the martyr to the cause. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. That is essentially the video. Yeah, stop being a damn tax slave. Find ways not to do it. Avoid tax, not evasion. Evasion is wrong and illegal. Avoidance is much better and often a lot easier. Thanks for watching.